Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today you find me contemplating what are the things that are really important to me in life. Family and friends? Nah. Adventure and travel? Don't be daft. Do you know what's really important to me? 1. Clay, obviously. 2. My cats, if you'll allow me. And 3. Video games. So you can imagine how I felt when I realized that today's build, based on the new video game Stray, combined all those 3 things together. It felt alright, I guess. So just to keep things exciting and live life on the edge, today we're going to start with the base. So we'll start by using some craft foam and balsa wood to get the basic shape of our alley, and just like a dystopian alleyway, or really any alleyway in general, we're going to make it an absolutely filthy broken down mess. We're going to try and make our foam look like broken up concrete. And to do this, I'm going to use some tightly scrunched tin foil or aluminum foil for our friends across the pond, and take out all my frustrations on that foam. Then we'll slap on some black acrylic primer, and just to be difficult, I'll decide to change it from broken up concrete to broken up paving slabs. Then we'll give it a quick dry brush with Vallejo stone grey paint. Whilst that's drying, let's move on to the walls. And I can already hear LEGO enthusiasts all over the world screaming out in pain.
Felt a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror.
I know, it's tough to see, I get you. But since I'm always looking for a way to be lazy and cut corners, plus I have just the largest amount of LEGO lying about, I thought I'd put it to good use and give it a new lease on life. At least that's how I'm going to look at it. Ow! So we'll cover our nondescript plastic blocks in wall filler, and then we'll paint it much the same way we did the floor. And no alleyway can call itself a real alley without some graffiti. Currently our graffiti looks too fresh, so we'll use some sandpaper to make it look a bit more worn down and old. Here's the left side of the wall I also made using those plastic bricks. And as everyone knows, graffiti artists only ever paint on the right side of the wall, so this side's gonna stay clean. But I do want to add an LED strip light just here. And playing the part of the strip light will be this bit of plastic tubing I had laying around. We'll make a mold of it using a 2-part silicone putty. And then,
a few moments later,
when it's cured and rock solid, we can use it to make a cast of the light. So we're going to use some epoxy resin mixed with some dye to make both a red strip light and a white strip light. The red one we'll use later, but for now the white one gets mounted on some crafting foam. Off camera I drilled some holes into the resin and then mounted into those holes some LED lights, which will shine into the dark corners of our horrible mucky alley. Next up we'll make the corrugated iron overhang that goes over the door frame, and the corrugated part of the soup can will do nicely. So using a Dremel, we'll first cut it out and then smooth off those harsh edges with a sander. Now that my eyes are snug beneath those safety glasses, we can sand those edges. Again, this corrugated tin is far too clean, so we need to weather it a bit. First we'll need to dry brush it using some Vallejo off-white paint, and then using an orange Gundam panel marker, we'll give that bad boy some rust. Finally, to really dirty it up, we'll use a brown wash, which is basically a small amount of paint mixed with a bunch of water. Now that both the walls are done, we can install them onto our base. Now what's that I can hear you say? The alleyway needs more damp fungus? Sure, I got you covered. So after putting some PVA glue in the places we want our fungus to grow, we'll give it a generous coating of green flocking. Our diorama's still looking a bit plain though. I know, we'll add some Greebles. Now, as you may have noticed in the title of this video, this is meant to be a book nook, which is, of course, all the rage at the moment. And you may be screaming at the screen, how on earth can books sit flush up against the sides of the diorama with all those wires hanging out? That's a good point. So what we're going to have to do to hide those unsightly wires is bulk out the walls with more foam. Does that mean that I could have probably originally made them without using Lego? Yeah, it probably does. But here we are, and you know what? We have to stick by the decisions we make in life. Next we need to figure out where we're going to put the 9-volt battery that will power all our LEDs. So I figured we could use this little cardboard soapbox and turn it into an air conditioning unit that will then hide the battery. Plus, it smells really nice. So we'll mount it on the wall using some Velcro, then we can feed to it all the wires from the LEDs, which will handily look like a big old electrical cable coming down the wall. And with that hurdle out of the way, all we need to do is weather the air conditioning unit very similarly to how we did the corrugated iron, and then we can move on to making our robot. So we'll start off as we always do by using a 2-piece armature, then we'll move on to using Super Sculpey Foam for making the arms, legs and head. Now I don't know about you, but I really like the designs of the robots from Stray. Simple design, but instantly recognizable. Looks like I burnt his head in the oven a little bit, but I'm going to paint over it, so it doesn't really matter. It can be our little secret. So I'm going to add a bit of tin foil into the face or monitor of his head to try and replicate those reflective panels you get in the headlight of a car. Then we'll insert an LED, then cover that over with a translucent green panel made of epoxy resin I made off camera. Let's see if it works. Now we don't want our robot friend walking around in the buff, so I found this strip of sackcloth that I thought would make a great little robe or poncho for him. Plus if I use this to cover over his torso, it means I don't actually have to bother sculpting his entire body. So after slapping on a base coat of black primer, we'll move on to painting all the parts of his body that aren't covered by his incredibly fashionable outwear. But just as I finished painting him up, I discovered this old material that I realised would be a lot better to use for his poncho than that old sackcloth. And because I love life, I didn't find it annoying at all to redo something that had already taken me several hours to do. But anyway, once I'd given his poncho a nice coat of burnt umber, we'll go on to designing his face/monitor. So I went into Procreate and attempted to draw something vaguely resembling the screenshots from the game. Then I printed that out onto some backed clear decal paper. Then as per the instructions, I gave it a quick spray with a clear coat varnish, before finally applying it to the model. And with that out of the way, it was time to turn our attention to our little kitty friend. For the purpose of the rest of this video, I'm going to call him Reginald, or maybe just Reg for short. Hold on, this is not what you think. I'm just drilling out a hole to install his tail. And just like everyone says, you can't have a good cat without a good head on its shoulders, and Reg is no exception. At the moment, poor Reg is looking more like a weasel than a cat, so let's bulk up his face a little bit. There we go, that's better. This old brush will be perfect for some whiskers for Reg. Now that Reg has been recapitated, we're going to make his little harness. And once he's been successfully baked in the oven, we're going to give him a nice shade of browny orange, since I don't think I can say ginger anymore. And for those of you who have already watched my Buzz video, you know that I'm absolutely petrified to paint eyes. But because cats generally have eyes, I've got no choice but to give it a go. Look at you, Reg, handsome boy. So at this point, our project is pretty much wrapping up. All that's left to do is to make Reg even more handsome with some stripes. Take the grime level of our alley off the charts by adding some epoxy resin, put everything in place, then our diorama is ready to come off of the workbench and go into the lightbox. Thank you once again for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to sincerely thank all of my recent subscribers. The channel's just recently gone over the 100 subscriber mark, which I know for YouTube is small beginnings, but I am truly sincerely thankful for each one of you. And if you haven't subscribed yet but enjoyed the video, please consider giving me that subscription and clicking that like button. Also, please feel free to watch the other videos popping up now. So until our next project, cheers and have a good one.